Jalen Rose. I'm David Jacoby. We are Jalen and Jacoby. What is it that we do?
And give the people what they want.
Jalen Rose, this was the weekend when all of the Cinderellas turned into pumpkins. We had so many good stories of teams that were going to make the Final Four, but in the end, it was 4 Blue Bloods. We start with the Duke Blue Devils against the Carolina Tar Heels, a classic matchup led by the star power of Paolo Banchero, who had a great game against the Arkansas Razorbacks to bring Duke to the Final Four.
Banchero, Odea's high school's finest. 19 years of age from Seattle, cutting down the nets for Coach K in his final year, going to the press conference saying it's only right if we try to hang another banner. I appreciated that. And I can't front, Jacoby. Every time we fill out NCAA brackets, everybody across the country, you get into a pool, you bet your money, and you go Dana Dane and go Cinderella, and you think all these great things are gonna happen, and then you get to the Final Four, it's chalk. It's basic chalk, right? And the Duke Blue Devils, I appreciate the way they responded by getting thumped during the ACC tournament. Now, you win the regular ACC, this is the freshman of the year you have, and then you lose in the tournament, and now it tests their character. And I appreciate the way they responded. Now, each of these games were basically blowouts. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But it's gonna be good to relive a lot of the historic memories of Duke and Carolina days. And let me tell you, coincidentally, while we have, for the first time, each of the Final Four participants have won multiple championships. So you got the great coaches, right? Bill Self, you know, Jay Wright, Coach K. And then you got Hubert Davis, who I played against in the Final Four. Coach K, who also beat me in the Final Four. And these are two teams that I both lost to. You see what I mean? And it's crazy that this is the first time that they actually have faced one another in the Final Four. I was surprised by that. You know what I mean?
Me too.
So it's going to be good to have these squads in the biggest stage of collegiate basketball in New Orleans, and it's going to be exciting to see who cuts down the nets.
It will be exciting. It's always good to have these two go up against each other, this long rivalry. Manic played really well for the Tar Heels leading into this game. This is going to be a good one. I really wanted St. Peter's to win, but they had a great run. We want to give a tip of the hat to the St. Peter's Peacocks. The feathers weren't flying against the Tar Heels, but they had a great run. Shaheen Holiday did his thing. On the other side of the bracket, we have another matchup of quote-unquote blue blood teams. The other side, we have the Villanova Wildcats, who took down my Cougars, man. Houston just couldn't hit a shot. They could not hit a shot. The Wildcats beat the Cougars, and they will face off against the Kansas Jayhawks on the other side of the bracket in the Final Four. What do you think about Villanova?
They beat Houston with Akeem Olajuwon in the building. They beat the Michigan Wolverines with Ray Jackson, Jimmy King, and myself in the building along with Juwan. And I was watching that game against Nova, and while I want to make sure I pay homage to how I feel like Jay Wright has literally done what all of the cliches end up saying about a great coach. Watch his team get better as the moments increase, because they was extremely vulnerable as I watched them against us. I literally felt like if we made some free throws, if we made some bunnies, we could have beat them. And one of the things that's going to truly hurt Nova in the Final Four is if Moore can't go. You know what I mean? Like he was a catalyst against Michigan. He played really well, getting into the paint, using his strong body, and really making timely plays and shots. And so without him, you know, the Kansas height and athleticism in the wings, I feel like are going to overwhelm Nova. And I actually believe that this will be a double-digit game right here, kind of like the games that we saw this weekend, because I just don't believe without Moore they're going to have enough players to make plays, to put points up on the scoreboard to keep up with Kansas and their athleticism.
Well, we have plenty of time before the Final Four this weekend. We'll get back to those games later in the week, but right now it's time to turn our attention to the dumpster fire that is the Los Angeles Lakers this season. They played the Pelicans over the weekend, and these games are critical because both the Pelicans and the Lakers are sitting right around that 9-10 spot in the Western Conference, and it was the Lakers who blew a 23-point lead in New Orleans and now are just one game ahead of the Spurs to make the play-in to even have a chance at the playoffs. Jalen, what do you think about this disaster from the Lakers?
LeBron James offensively has been remarkable, playing up front, a lot of minutes. And while that's not the best thing defensively for their team, it's really good for him offensively. And so one of the things I want to acknowledge that he's scored over 35 in like 4 or 5 straight games. Like that's remarkable for a player at this point of his career. But you see him bumping into a big guy right there. I showed you that with Anthony Davis when he got hurt against Rudy Gobert. That's the thing, like when you start to play a position that you're not like physically used to playing, like those guys just bump into you and you get hurt. How many times did that happen? You go down and try to swipe the ball from a big guy, you playing reg ball, you just turn around and elbow you like you just a fly. And I want to make sure I give the Pelicans a shout because when you're down 23, that's a character builder. Brandon Ingram got drafted and played for the Lakers. They just acquired C.J. McCollum. Willie Green is in his first year as the head coach. They're not playing with Zion. How are they going to respond to a team that they're looking at in a potential play-in situation? And after this loss, the Lakers, it seems like I've watched them blow so many double-digit 20-point leads this year, almost like your Knicks. It had me thinking. I looked at their schedule, and unlike Biggie when he did the crack commands, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I was like, LeBron ain't playing in all of them games.
No, he's not.
I'm like,
no, especially with that hurt ankle now.
I know in Cleveland he said this is the most time that he's most fun that he's having. But last night when he was getting his ankle iced and in the hyperbaric chamber and doing hot and cold tub and limping around with crutches, he was appreciating getting close to the scorer title, but he was not appreciating getting closer to the bottom of the West. Didn't you say the Lakers were a dumpster fire? The bottom of the West. And they have LeBron James on the team. That is crazy.
The Spurs are not even trying to make the playoffs. They look up like, oh, we can make the play-in tournament? Okay, I guess we'll do that then. That is how this Lakers season has gone thus far, and they are not making the playoffs. They might not even make the play-in. But Jalen, it is finally time for us to discuss what really matters. It is time for News That Matters. Jalen, all anyone can talk about is what happened at the Oscars last evening. The second it happened, I thought it was fake. The second I realized it was real, I said, I need to know what my brother Jalen Anthony Rose has to say about the Will Smith to Chris Rock smack at the Oscars.
First off, not only could we have done this entire show on this, I really want to do a 30 for 30 on this. I have so much to say about this topic, David Jacoby. And let me show you, like, where the root of all of this started. First off, they're all public figures. Chris Rock is a 57-year-old man. Will Smith is a 53-year-old man. The slander on Will's name started with the whole interview about the relationship with he and Jada's entanglement.
The entanglements. Yep.
That's when it really started. That's when people started to really feel like they can assassinate his character as a public figure, that is. And so now all of a sudden, you're at the biggest stage, you're at the Oscars, and people are gonna be cracking jokes. Like, I was watching the entire show, there were other people cracking jokes on everybody. And I know as soon as they put the camera to Uncle Sam, I ain't gonna even lie, I was like, I hope they don't crack no mean joke on Uncle Sam to make him mad too, you know what I'm saying? But he was good. And shout out to Uncle Denzel. It was great to see him there. You know, that's family to me. And so as Chris Rock was telling his jokes and doing his set, like, there's an undercurrent here. Like, Jada Pinkett has alopecia. And so that's the reason that she's not wearing her signature haircut that we've grown familiar with for a very long time. And then there are some people that say, well, you know, whatever. They try to minimize how she may feel about somebody making jokes about her or whatever. That's on them, that's on their relationship. It's not on us to decide if he should kiss her before they go on stage and do all of that. So people like kind of have now parachuted into their home and parachuted into their bedroom based on a lot of the information that they share with us. And so now all of a sudden that's gonna make the situation highly sensitive. And so when Chris Rock said his joke, Will actually was laughing. You see what I'm saying? And so the reaction 30 seconds later ended up having him on stage smacking Chris Rock. Now, there's a way that you want to see people comport themselves. There's going to be a line of people that say he's disrespectful. Anybody, first off, any man that's married is going to agree with Will Smith. Like, you ain't going to find a man that's married and be like, hey, you know, He'll be like, you know, he's defending his wife. And then anybody that's about like the entertainment aspect or the comedy aspect or even the sports aspect, it continues to blur the lines of what's going too far. And David Jacoby once taught me that you can be mean if you're funny. Well, a lot of people thought he was being mean and funny, but Will Smith didn't. And Jaden Smith, who tweeted about it, didn't. And I believe and I hope that they can find some solace as men. I know Chris Rock is going to go on tour with Kevin Hart or do some shows, and this is now going to be great material for him as a professional. I know Will Smith, who eventually got a chance to atone for himself, won the biggest award for the night, representing Richard Williams and Shout to Venus and Serena the Queens, who were there to represent, and Beyonce, and so many great stars. It was a great festive night. And so I was happy that he actually won the award, so he got a chance to go back on stage to atone for his behavior. But I gotta just say this. Hey, other black people, you commit an assault versus people at an award show, they gonna escort you out. You know what I'm saying? Will Smith got that VIP, extra VIP pass.
Yeah, he stayed right there in the front row.
You see what I'm saying?
I was surprised he was still there.
You see what I'm saying?
Right in the front row.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, you getting escorted out. Like, this, you know, I say this is happening for an audience of one. Like, that's what this is right now. And so, again, I'm glad he got a chance to win the award to atone for his behavior, but everybody knows on that stage, you believe there's a better way for adults to comport themselves. And I'm glad Will went up there to apologize because he knows that's not the venue to behave that way.
Yeah, smacking people in the face is not the answer, especially on that stage. However, when it's all said and done, it is kind of funny. The whole thing was kind of funny. Chris Rock's face, he was just like, did I just get smacked on stage at the Oscars?
You gotta see the
Chris Rock was
one.
not ready for it. Yeah, he was not ready for it. Like, he's like, what's happening? Will Smith is walking up here right now. He thought that Will Smith was gonna shake his hand and make a joke or something, but no.
Well, Will is bigger than him. Will is bigger than him.
Will leaned back.
In better shape, is strong. He was just playing Richard Williams, so he was in character. And he was on his Dave Chappelle with the 4 fingers, say to the face, slap. You know what I mean?
I shouldn't be laughing at this. Violence is never the answer, but this is funny.
Violence is never that.
This whole thing
We're
is
not
funny to
promoting,
me.
like KRS One said, we're not promoting violence. We just having some fun. And this happened on national television.
Having some fun.
And we were all watching it. But again, this is not how you behave. But I have to say this about Chris Rock. If he responds physically in any way, shape, or form, that could have become the ugliest scene that we could have ever seen in the history of an award show. So I have to applaud him for how he also accepted the slap. Because if he would have did anything but that, that incident would have probably spilled on the stage and into the crowd, and then it would have really got a lot more messy.
And this is definitely going to lead to at least 20 or 30 minutes of the next Chris Rock special, and I can't wait to see that either. I also can't wait to discuss the magician with the basketball, Kyrie Irving. He is in Brooklyn playing basketball for the Nets. We'll talk about that and what LaMelo Ball did right after this. You're watching Jalen Jacoby. Anakin Riverdeck here in New York City. Welcome back to Jalen Jacoby, Jalen Anthony Rose. In Brooklyn, right across the river, Kyrie Irving took the floor at the Barclays Center as a member of the Nets for the first time. But before we get to him, we need to celebrate our guy, LaMelo Ball, because it was LaMelo with 33 points, 9 assists, and the Hornets getting the win over the Nets with Kyrie. What do you see from Melo?
This is the home court of LaMelo Ball, Rock Nation, Puma, and our family who takes the time and energy to put together FedExes to send Jalen and Jacoby new kicks before they hit stores. And by the way, when Kyrie Irving returned, what did our guy do? What did he do? Put on a show, hit 7 threes. And you know what else? Shout out to Miles Bridges, who I believe is trending toward being most improved player. Shout out to P.J. Washington, who had a double-double. But how about this? While the Nets are a terrifically talented team, a lot of these games that we're discussing, the headline is Kyrie's birthday and they're lifting the mandate. But they lost to Memphis without Ja. Kyrie's first home game, he and KD played 40 minutes in this game, and they lost to the Hornets, who won 7 out of 8. So it had me looking deeper in the box score. And as I saw the tall guard LaMelo Ball out there doing his thing, I'm thinking, the Nets are small. Kyrie, let's just talk about them when they're healthy. So it'll be Kyrie, it's gonna be Curry, up front is gonna be Brown and Patty Mills. Like, those are 4 guys that are short for their position, slight of built and aren't really good defenders, and KD, who's a good defender for his ability, but he's not physically imposing to be playing 4 and 5. And so that's why a guy like P.J. Washington, like, hey, dog, I know I see you bullying people because you are the easy money sniper, but me right here, like, you can't get this.
I can score on you, too.
Like you too little for me, dog, and he's right. You see what I'm saying? Like, the casual look at, like, what does P.J. Washington mean? I said P.J. Broad, I'm sorry. He did play for the Hornets, too, by the way. What does he mean KD's too small? That man been a power forward or a center his whole life. KD was like a 1, then a 2, then a 3 in high school, then morphed into a 4 with the Warriors. And so, like, again, the Hornets are ascending. The Nets, while they're terrifically talented, and you can't bet against KD or Kyrie's offensive ability, like, they still have a lot of stuff that they're gonna sort out if they're gonna beat a top seed. And I gotta say one more thing. They're not running offense. They're not running offense.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No, they're not. They don't need to.
They're like KD and Kyrie, I think they both took over 20 shots and played over 40 minutes. So, like, they were taking turns. Kyrie was off, so they lost. So it can be interesting to see. That's why I say they can't win the East without Ben. Because they need somebody else to help them initiate offense.
We always spend so much time talking about the Lakers in the West and the Nets in the East, these play-in potential teams. But the top of the Eastern Conference now has a new name at the top, and it is the Boston Celtics, who have been on an absolute tear, continued yesterday beating the Timberwolves easily, and now have the #1 spot in the Eastern Conference.
So a lot of people that watch this show aren't old enough to have had a 8-track or a cassette tape, but you and I have. And you know when you want to rewind the tape, that noise that it makes, like, are you old enough to remember when I tried to tell everyone when Ime Udoka, who was on this show, by the way, I told everybody, do not panic in Boston. He's gonna be a terrific coach. They're gonna figure it out. And I'm also old enough to remember, and we shouldn't let people forget saying this, because this is like one of the worst takes of all time. Break up Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum? Like, let's go to commercial break, dog. The Boston Celtics are #1. Get well soon, Robert Woods.
I don't want you to get upset.
Get well soon, Robert Woods.
I don't want you to get upset. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Jalen Jacoby. Jalen, every day we want to recognize our superstar athlete, Brittany Griner, who is still detained in Russia.
And unfortunately, it's been 39 days. And we here at Jalen and Jacoby are going to make sure we continue to highlight and acknowledge that and make sure we show support to her family, friends, and loved ones, in particular until she returns home.
We also want to acknowledge the Phoenix Suns, who no one can beat at basketball. This time they beat the 76ers. They're easily number one in the Western Conference, and I don't see a team in the entire conference that can even press them in a 7-game series.
Say it with me. You've heard it before. They are the best team in basketball. Chris Paul had 19 and 14. Devin Booker had an efficient 35. Monty Williams is right. That man deserves to be in the MVP conversation like we deserve. To check you out tomorrow.